Incredible moment. Brave puppy discovers gentle bear's life-changing rescue of mama dog in river. Jake Palmer felt invisible, like a ghost in his own life. At 10 years old, he was drowning in a sea of worries that belonged to adults, while the chaos of his family's finances swirled around him. His mother worked 2 jobs, her tired smile always hidden under the burden of bills, while his older sister Claire spent her days stressing about college applications. But then came Max, the scruffy little puppy who turned Jake's world into a whirlwind of joy and laughter, filling their cramped home with boundless energy. One cool autumn afternoon, Jake decided to escape the intensity. With golden leaves crunching beneath his sneakers, he grabbed Max and headed into the nearby forest. It was peaceful, a world where the air smelled of pine and adventure. As they roamed deeper, Jake felt a lightness he hadn't experienced in months, letting the weight of worry lift off his shoulders. Max bounded ahead, chasing after golden leaves, his tail wagging with every bounce. Suddenly, Jake halted in his tracks, something amazing catching his eye. Through a break in the trees he saw a gentle bear, a sight that startled him. But there was no fear in the bear's eyes. It was focused, intensely brave, like the hero in a story. It wasn't hunting. Instead, Jake could barely believe what he saw. The bear was rescuing a mama dog, caught in the fierce current of a rushing river. The awe struck Jake as the bear calmly waded in, strong arms deftly pulling the mama dog to safety. This was heroism beyond anything he'd ever imagined. No caped crusaders here, just raw compassion. As the sun began to set, a hush fell over the moment. But with the beauty came something darker. News of the bear's actions spread quickly through Maplewood. Whispers turned into shouts, fear spreading like wildfire. Townsfolk rallied, armed with axes and shovels, their minds clouded with the idea that this bear was a danger. Jake felt his heart sink. The bear he had just watched act selflessly was to be hunted down, all because of fear and misunderstanding. Jake was terrified not just for the bear, but for a world that could so easily choose destruction over understanding. He knew he had to act, to stand up for the creatures no one seemed to understand. Max, with his gentle nudges, reminded Jake of the kindness he had just witnessed. With a newfound sense of purpose, he pulled together a group of friends at school, forming a small alliance determined to change the conversation. They met every day, sketching plans, crafting flyers, and promoting compassion over fear. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Jake strode towards the town hall meeting with trembling hands. The tension was palpable, and all he could think of was how to make his voice heard amidst the crowd's heated arguments. Every voice seemed louder than his. As he stood there, he felt the weight of everyone looking at him. Would he be brave enough to speak out? He thought of the bear's gentle strength and the way Max brought warmth into his life. But then someone shouted from the back of the room, "We cannot trust that beast." The crowd's murmurs grew louder, panic rising like steam in a boiling pot. Jake's heart raced. He stood at a crossroads, not just for the bear, but for himself. Could he inspire his community to see beyond their fear? Would love and understanding triumph over prejudice? As the eyes of the townsfolk bore into him, Jake took a deep breath, knowing that this chance was about more than just the bear's life. It was his chance to step out of the shadows and find his voice. Jake took a step forward, heart pounding like a drum. The air was charged, thick with tension as he faced the crowd. "Wait, please." His voice trembled, but he pushed through the fear. That bear saved a life. He isn't a monster. Silence fell, surprising him. Jake could see the confusion dancing in their eyes. They didn't know him. They didn't know his story or Max's joyful bark, yet here he was, standing on an imaginary line separating fear from understanding. He clenched his fists, hoping to find strength in the thought of the bear swimming against the current for the sake of a struggling mama dog. Jake's words gained momentum. "He's not our enemy. Just look at what he did." He felt a rush of energy as he spoke, fueled by the camaraderie of his friends who stood silently behind him. There are always 2 sides to a story. Maybe by caring we can learn even from a bear. Murmurs erupted from the crowd. Some voices supported him, while others remained skeptical, still clinging to fear. He is a wild animal. What if he comes after our children? A woman in the front yelled, her eyes wide, echoing the anxiety that coursed through the room. Or Jake pressed, what if we give him a chance? What if we find a way to coexist? You wouldn't want us to be judged for the circumstances we can't control, would you? He could feel the weight of their judgment, but he also sensed a flicker of uncertainty in their harsh expressions. Max shifted at Jake's feet, sensing the nervous energy. The puppy's gaze scanned the crowd, as if searching for signs of understanding. The sight gave Jake a boost. Max believes in kindness. If a puppy can do that, why can't we? The laughter that followed broke through some of the tension, a shared moment of relief amid the chaos. Gradually, Jake caught glimpses of hesitant nods, eyes softening just a little, hearts opening. But there was still a mountain to climb. What if he fell flat? The thought gnawed at him, but he couldn't give up. Not now. I know we're scared, he continued, voice steadying. But fear doesn't have to rule us. We can choose to find a solution that everyone, even a bear, can live with. Let us look for alternatives to hunting him down. He began to outline his plan, an appeal to understand the bear rather than destroy him. What if we set up a meeting? Find some experts who can help guide us? We could learn how to keep everyone safe while protecting him. Jake held his breath, hoping beyond hope that his words resonated. There was a long pause, and for a second he worried he had lost them. Just before the crowd could respond, the town's mayor rose, eyebrows furrowed in thought. You have passion, kid. I appreciate it, he said slowly, trying to absorb the idea. Let us hear you out, but it better not put anyone in danger. With a flicker of hope, Jake felt a spark ignite outside of himself. Could he really help change their minds? As discussions buzzed around him, he didn't notice how his friends exchanged excited glances, each one supporting his courage in their way. Even the most hardened hearts could shift, he thought. This was only the beginning. But as the night wore on, Jake wondered if it would be enough. Would the bear's gentle spirit become a hero for the entire town? Or would fear drown out the compassion he so desperately wanted to share? Tomorrow would be crucial, the pressure building like storm clouds. Jake slept uneasily that night. Max curled next to him, both of them restless with anticipation. Would they find a way to save the gentle bear? Or was it too late? As dawn broke, a shocking discovery awaited them that would change everything. As the first rays of sunlight crept into Jake's bedroom, he felt a jolt shoot through him. The promise of a new day was heavy, filled with the weight of uncertainty. Max stirred next to him, stretching with a yawn as if sensing the urgency in the air. Jake hurriedly slipped out of bed, his heart racing as he recalled their mission, to save the bear. After pulling on his jeans and a hoodie, he grabbed Max's leash, his mind already spinning with what needed to be done. They had a meeting with the town leaders today, and he wouldn't go unprepared. Come on, boy, he said, motioning for Max to follow. They dashed down the stairs and out into the crisp morning air. The sun bathed the small town in golden light, but there was still an underlying tension that lingered, a reminder of yesterday's confrontation. As Jake walked, he replayed his speech from the night before in his mind. The flickers of uncertainty among the townsfolk couldn't be dismissed. He needed to convince them, he had to believe there was a way to connect their fears with understanding. They stopped by the river, the place where everything had begun. Jake's thoughts turned to the mama dog, her frantic yelps blending with the sound of the rushing water. The image of that bear diving in to save her stirred something deep within him. Maybe the bear was misunderstood. Just like him, that he sat on the grassy bank and looked out at the water, wishing for clarity. The morning was peaceful, but his thoughts were anything but. Max sniffed around playfully, blissfully unaware of the chaos brewing just beyond their small world. Suddenly the air shifted. A rustling sound caught Jake's attention. He turned to see a figure emerging from the trees, a woman, her expression determined, holding a camera. Jake, there you are, she exclaimed, running up to him. It was Leah, a local nature photographer and one of the few people who had believed in his cause from the beginning. What's up, Leah? Jake asked, heart racing. I heard about the meeting today and I want to help. I think I can get some footage of the bear and the river, show the town he is not a threat. Her enthusiasm was infectious. Really? That could be amazing. Jake felt his spirits lift, a fresh burst of hope blooming inside him. But what do you need from me? I'll start filming at the location where the rescue happened. I want to capture the beauty of that moment. Make people see that there's more to the bear than just fear, Leah explained. If we show them this, maybe they'll understand. I'll come with you, Jake said, excitement bubbling up. If they could capture the story right, just maybe it would sway the opinion of the town. With Max leading the way, they hurried to the river. The anticipation was palpable. As they walked, Jake felt their energy shift, a sense of purpose guiding them. Perhaps witnessing the gentle bear would be the turning point he needed. When they reached the riverside, it was breathtaking. The sun glimmered off the water, casting vibrant reflections. Leah set up her camera, her eyes sparkling with determination. All right, Jake. Let us hope for the best. The bear might just show up. As they waited, Jake felt a connection forming not just with Leah, but with nature itself. This was about more than saving the bear. It was about the community, compassion, and what it means to truly understand one another. And then, as if the universe was aligning in their favor, movement in the bushes caught Max's attention. The puppy's ears perked, his playful stance shifting into something watchful. Jake's heart pounded as he turned slowly to look at what had just emerged from the trees. A massive, gentle figure stepped into the sunlight, and Jake's breath caught in his throat. It was the bear. A profound silence enveloped the moment, the kind that holds promise yet hangs heavy with uncertainty. What would happen now? Would they finally see the bear for what he truly was? The atmosphere was thick with anticipation. Would fear hold sway? Or would compassion reign? The bear stood at the edge of the river, sunlight dappling its fur with glimmers of gold. Jake's heart raced, pulsing in time with the water's soothing rhythm. He felt the weight of Leah's camera, ready in her hands, pointed straight at the gentle giant. For a moment the world was still. The sounds of nature faded into an embrace of quiet, broken only by the occasional murmur from Max, who was now focused intently on the bear. Look at him, Jake whispered, his voice barely above a breath. Isn't he magnificent? Leah nodded, eyes wide with awe. This is it, Jake. This is the moment we'll share with everyone. The bear moved slowly, cautiously drinking from the river. There was something profoundly serene in its movements. For a creature often cast in the role of monster, it was peaceful, like a guardian of the very water that had birthed stories of bravery. Then, out of nowhere, a sound broke the tranquility, a faint whimper. The bear's head shot up and its ears perked. Jake turned, his heart hitching in his throat. Was someone in trouble again? The bushes rustled again, and out bounded a small creature, another dog, disheveled and shaking. Stopped short, eyes wide, taking in the scene. Jake felt a flash of fear. Would the bear react? Would history repeat itself? But instead of aggression, there was curiosity. The bear lowered its massive head, observing the small dog with an almost maternal gaze. The moment stretched, time hanging in the air like heavy fog. Leah captured it all, her lens witnessing history. This should be showing everyone the truth right here, right now, she murmured, leaning closer to the camera, entranced. Jake held his breath, caught in the tenderness of the moment. The little dog approached cautiously, and to everyone's surprise, the bear leaned down, sniffing the newcomer as if to say, "You are safe here." It was a scene too beautiful for words. Like the universe producing a storybook moment just for them. Jake, this is unbelievable, Leah said, her voice thick with emotion. Can you feel it? They're connecting. This could change everything. Jake nodded, tears prickling his eyes. This was more than he had hoped for. Here was the bridge between fear and understanding, and he was living it. If only the town could see this, but then, as if sensing something was amiss, the bear suddenly turned. It darted back into the woods, a cloud of leaves swirling behind. The little dog whined again, instinctively searching for connection, but the bear was gone. The silence that followed screamed at Jake as the weight of reality settled back on his shoulders. Wait! He shouted, but it was too late. The moment had slipped away like the water in the river. The town would still fear this creature. Leah dropped her camera, looking at Jake in despair. What do we do now? We almost had it. We need to find the bear again. We can't let this be the end. Jake's heart pounded fiercely in response. He had one chance to fight for understanding, but he wouldn't just be fighting for the bear. He'd be fighting for everyone in the town that had become lost in their fear. He could feel the fire of determination pushing him forward. Then that's what we'll do. We'll chase after him, Jake declared. But we must act fast. If we can find him, we can bring him back into the light. We can show them. With hope renewed, Jake and Leah raced into the trees, Max bounding beside them. The woods loomed ahead, thick and alive with possibility. But as they charged deeper into the forest, an unsettling thought gnawed at Jake. What if they were too late? What if the bear feared them too now? Would he trust them again? The path ahead was unknown, and the stakes were painfully high. Would they find the bear? Or would the chance of understanding slip away forever? Branches snapped beneath their feet as they moved through the dense undergrowth. Jake could feel the wild pulse of the forest surrounding them, a mixture of energy and uncertainty. Leah's breaths quickened beside him, matching the frantic beat of his heart. Max, ever eager, darted ahead, his instincts guiding him toward something hidden in the depths of the trees. Do you think he has gone far? Leah shouted over her shoulder, determination etched on her face. I hope not. We have to keep looking, Jake replied, summoning every ounce of hope he had as they pressed on. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows that felt more ominous with each passing moment. The peaceful connection they had witnessed moments ago seemed like a distant memory, replaced by the weight of urgency. What if they never found him? What if they lost this chance to change everything? Jake! Max barked from ahead, his voice sharp and filled with excitement. Jake's pulse quickened. What is it, boy? He stumbled forward, setting his sights on Max, who stood at the base of a giant oak tree, his tail wagging joyfully. They approached, and there, at the foot of the tree, something caught Jake's eye. It was a pile of stones, carefully stacked in a haphazard but deliberate way. What is this? Leah asked, reaching out to touch the rocks. It looks intentional. Jake frowned, examining the pile closely. Looks like someone has been here. They might be watching. His mind raced with the possibilities. What if it was the bear? Or perhaps someone from the town? The weight of the moment pressed down on him. Before he could voice his thoughts, a rustling echoed deeper in the woods. Jake turned, adrenaline coursing through him. Did you hear that? Leah nodded, her eyes wide with anticipation. It could be him. Come on. They moved quietly, every sound heightened in the thick air. Each footstep felt like a thunderclap against the fragile silence. As they entered a small clearing, the world opened up before them, revealing verdant ferns and wildflowers splashed across the earth. It was stunning, but Jake had no time to admire the view. Stay low, he whispered as they crept forward, eyes peeled. Then, as if the forest itself held its breath, they saw him, a flicker of movement just beyond the brush. The bear stood paused, its massive form silhouetted against the golden light, its head bent low over something else. Is that? Jake's voice faltered as they stepped closer. It was the little dog from before, fur still dirty but eyes bright with hope. The bear nudged it gently with its snout, as if checking to ensure it was safe. Leah raised her camera without a word, the shutter clicking softly to that very moment. Jake's heart filled with awe and gratitude. They weren't just witnesses to the connection, they were a part of it. But fear clawed at him once again. What if they see us? He whispered, though they were hidden behind thick foliage. Leah lowered her camera for a moment, placing a hand on Jake's arm with an intensity that said she knew what he was feeling. Jake, we have to show the world this moment. We can't be afraid anymore. Right. This is it. Jake stepped forward, heart pounding, breaking through the brush. His voice was steady as he called out to the bear. We're not here to hurt you. We just want to understand. The bear's ears twitched, its expression shifting, and Jake held his breath. Would it run again? Would history repeat itself, or had he pushed too far? Then, in an unexpected turn, the bear raised its head, eyes locking onto Jake's. In that instant, Jake felt time freeze. Was it fear he saw? Or an understanding? But before he could decipher the look in those deep, dark eyes, a loud crack echoed through the trees. A branch. Something moving. Panic flared in Jake's chest. Whatever was approaching could shatter this fragile moment. Would it all come crashing down? Leah's whisper barely reached him through the chaotic rush of his thoughts. What lurked beyond the trees? As the crack resonated through the forest, Jake's heart raced. He turned slowly, not wanting to break the fragile connection with the bear. Leah's hand tightened on his arm, her breath shallow. The woods felt alive, every rustle and crack amplified by their heightened senses. From between the trees a figure emerged. It was a man tall and rugged, wearing a faded flannel shirt and jeans. A camera hung from his neck, identical in look to Leah's. His eyes flicked between Jake, Leah and the bear, confused yet cautious. "Wait!" Jake called out, instinctively stepping to shield Leah and Max. "Don't move. The bear is right there." The man hesitated, his hands raised slightly as if trying to pacify the situation. "I saw you from a distance. I just wanted to observe. I didn't mean to startle you." Jake's mind swirled. Could he trust this stranger? The man looked genuinely intent, but with so many unknowns, could they afford any slip-ups? "Why are you here?" Leah demanded, her protective instincts roaring to life. "I'm a wildlife photographer," the man explained, eyes wide, sincerity in his voice. "I've been following that bear for weeks. I thought she was alone." Jake's attention snapped back to the bear, who remained transfixed, eyeing the newcomer. The little dog shifted closer, drawn to both Jake and the bear's gentle presence. As if sensing safety in numbers, Leah lowered her camera, still wary. "What do you mean? Alone?" The man nodded, brow furrowing. "I saw her near the river yesterday. I thought she'd left her cubs behind. It's rare to see a bear alone during this time of year. But maybe he trailed off," glancing at the dog. "Maybe she was just taking care of this pup instead." A chill ran down Jake's spine. The disconnection between the man's observations and what they were witnessing felt surreal, almost magical. Here they stood, two humans brought together by chance in the middle of the forest, both captivated by a story unfolding before them. "Are you saying this bear is taking care of the dog?" Leah asked, her voice softening. Max, sensing the shift, let out a playful bark, breaking the tension. The bear's ears perked up, but she lowered her head again, showing no sign of aggression. Instead, the gentle demeanor was more pronounced. The photographer knelt down, lowering his voice. "Yeah, it seems that way. Look at how she's treating it. She's nurturing it, checking to make sure it's okay." Jake's heart swelled with a mix of hope and uncertainty. But what if she feels threatened? The fear bubbled up again. They were on sacred ground, an unspoken understanding between the wild and the watched. The bear remained calm, though. She nudged the pup again, a tender act laced with maternal instinct, which felt like a mirrored reflection of the compassion surrounding them. Jake took a cautious step forward. "That's why we need to respect this moment. We can't interrupt her bond with the dog. This is a connection, a rare one." The photographer nodded, excitement shimmering behind his eyes. "You're right. This is incredible." They all stood still, caught in a breathless instant that vibrated with hope. Time stretched before them, filled with unspoken promises. The dog, now fully engaged in its new life, padded closer to the bear, receiving gentle nuzzles. Suddenly, from deeper in the trees came another sound, jumping out from the bushes this time. A second bear, smaller but clearly agitated, as if it were searching for something or someone. Jake's stomach dropped. "What if they're getting territorial?" Jake whispered, his heart racing again. Leah's eyes met his, full of concern. "What do we do now?" The world felt too big. Would they interfere with something they were meant to witness? Or could they stand their ground and protect this miraculous bond from the brewing storm? The air thickened with tension as the new bear drew closer, wild and unpredictable. What would happen to this situation? Jake felt the urgency push against him. Would they protect the bond? Or would it shatter amidst the unfolding chaos? The second bear, a young, smaller creature with sleek fur and a nervous energy, bounded closer, its dark eyes darting side to side. Jake's heart pounded in his chest. He didn't want to imagine what would happen next. This bear was clearly agitated. The low growl it emitted a warning that rang loud and clear through the anxious air. "Stay back, everyone," Jake whispered urgently, positioning himself between the two bears and Leah, who clutched Max tightly. The wildlife photographer, still crouched on the ground, remained frozen, the significance of the moment weighing heavily on him. Leah's eyes darted from Jake to the bears, her breath shallow. They had stumbled into a delicate equilibrium, and now it seemed like everything might break apart. "Look," the photographer breathed out, his voice barely a whisper. "That smaller bear, it must be her cub. She's been searching for it." Jake watched as the first bear glanced over her shoulder, her instincts evidently on high alert. The large bear, sensing something amiss, stood taller, puffing her chest out, and curled her lips slightly. The fierce maternal guard was on display. "Don't provoke her," Leah urged firmly, her voice trembling. A flicker of hesitation passed through Jake as he contemplated their next move. The weight of responsibility hung over him like a storm cloud. They couldn't just stand and watch, could they? The bond between the bear and the dog had formed so beautifully, and now it hung in the balance against a backdrop of nature as harsh realities that in an instant. The smaller bear let out a frantic call, a soft whimper that echoed hauntingly through the trees. There was a palpable switch in atmosphere. The larger bear turned her gaze back, and for the first time, Jake could see panic swirling in her eyes. "She's torn," he whispered almost to himself. "Does she protect the pup? Or show her cub that she hasn't abandoned it?" As if sensing the tension, Max wriggled free from Leah's grip, instinctively moving toward the bears with a wagging tail. The image of the playful little dog hurtling toward two massive bears, underlining the unpredictability of nature, made Jake's heart stall for a split second. "Max, no!" Leah shouted, panic coloring her tone. But then, in that frozen moment, something remarkable happened. The bear lowered her massive head, eyes softening, as if she realized the dog was not a threat, but part of her wild family now. The little bear, hearing the commotion, rushed closer, and suddenly the scene felt more fragile than ever. It's like they are all looking for each other," the photographer uttered, astonished by the unexpected dynamics before them. Max approached the larger bear, who lowered her snout to investigate this curious creature. Everyone held their breath, time suspended in the air. Would the wild instinct emerge, or would love prevail? The small bear moved in, sniffing Max, and instead of reacting with aggression, it snorted playfully, tapping its paw at the dog who barked back, tail wagging with delight. Jake felt an overwhelming rush of hope. There was a possibility maybe they wouldn't have to intervene after all. Perhaps the bonds of love could unite even the most unexpected of allies. But just as thoughts of relief began to fill Jake's mind, he spotted the second bear's body tense again. Its growls intensified, angry and protective. The connection was fragile, and they were right at the breaking point. "Leah, we need to step back," Jake urged, gripping her arm gently. "But what if she started?" Worry etched on her face. "What if they sense us as a threat?" Jake interjected, the tension rising in his voice. "We can't jeopardize this moment." As they took a step back, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves wildly, echoing the rush of emotions surging through the forest. Then, just at that moment, a loud crack erupted nearby, a branch snapping under a hidden weight. All heads turned toward the noise. What else lurked in the depths of the woods? Would they witness an unforeseen confrontation, or a moment of healing? The heart of the forest pulsed with unanswered questions as Jake felt a sinking dread that pushed him onward. A whisper through the canopy urging him to find the truth. What lay hidden just out of sight? The sound of the crack echoed ominously, sending chills down Jake's spine. He glanced nervously at Leah, who was frozen in place, her eyes wide and terrified. The bears were still fixated on Max, but the atmosphere felt charged. A storm brewing just beyond the tree line. "Did you hear that?" Leah whispered, her voice trembling. Jake nodded, keeping his gaze on the bears. "Stay quiet," he instructed, trying to steady his racing heart. The larger bear suddenly turned, alert and tense. Her maternal instincts kicked into high gear as she peered into the underbrush, hackles raised. The smaller bear mirrored her energy, resembling a little shadow caught in the whirlwind of protection. And then, from behind a dense thicket, a dark figure emerged. Jake squinted and adrenaline surged through him. It was another bear, its presence commanding and fearsome. The newcomer, much larger and more rugged, approached steadily, its eyes locked onto the trio before it. "Stay back, Max," Leah shouted again, but Max was firmly planted, eyes on the bears as if waiting for some great revelation. The newcomer stepped forward, growling low and powerful. Leah whimpered, instinctively grabbing Jake's arm tighter. "What now?" she asked, panic rising in her voice. But the larger bear, amidst its fierce demeanor, paused and sniffed the air. Jake could see its ears twitching, sensing something deeper, something connected. In that moment the atmosphere shifted again. The fierce standoff turned into a careful exchange. The first bear stepped cautiously closer to the newcomer, lowering her head, a sign of submission. Jake realized this was a different kind of bond, forming a reunion of sorts. "He*s her mate," the wildlife photographer murmured, awestruck. "The smaller bear is their cub, they must have been separated." Just then Max, still emboldened by the bear's softer energy, took a loping step toward the two bears. Jake felt his breath catch as he watched the strange yet beautiful connection unfold before his eyes. The larger bear turned her head towards Max, the agitation in her body easing just a fraction. The smaller bear butted up against her father, looking at Max with unfiltered curiosity. Jake couldn't help but smile at the innocent interaction. The trio seemed to embrace the little dog's vibrant spirit, as if understanding his joy. But that smile faltered as Jake's gaze shifted back to the looming figure in the underbrush. The newcomer's growl grew deeper, a warning that sent shivers through Jake's core. "What if he doesn't like Max?" Leah whispered, biting her lip. "It's possible," Jake whispered back, though he felt a flicker of hope return. Just then the newcomer charged forward, directly toward Max. Leah gasped. Jake felt a rush of urgency. "Max! Come back!" he shouted, stepping forward as the tension ignited like dry leaves in a flame. And that moment, Max turned on his heels, sprinting toward Jake, the playful spark in his eyes replaced with confusion. As the larger bear's form loomed closer, Jake felt fear grip his heart. Would the new presence jeopardize this unexpected reunion? "Step back, Leah," Jake ordered as he held out a protective arm, fingers clenching into a fist. But instead of a clash, the unexpected began to unfold. The larger bear halted, its gaze fixated on Max. Surprise flickered in its eyes, slowly shifting to something softer, a maternal awareness awakening. Jake could hardly breathe. Would this powerful creature recognize Max's innocent intentions, or would instinct lead them to chaos? Just as the forest held its breath, the newcomer lowered its head, curiosity overtaking aggression. "Can they really understand?" Leah murmured, standing beside Jake, her hope shimmering like sunlight through the trees. And that split second of tranquility, an even more profound question hung over them. What would happen if the forest found harmony, or would it all shatter in the blink of an eye? Jake was about to find out. Max paused at the edge of Jake's shadow, tail tucked but eyes sparkling with a mix of bravery and bewilderment. Jake crouched, inviting Max to come closer, hoping he would sense the tension slowly dissolving in the air. "Looks like they really are communicating," Leah whispered. She watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. And then it happened. The larger bear released a low rumble, not of aggression, but something deeper, in acknowledgement. The mother bear stepped forward, her eyes boring into Max's with a measured calm, and for a heartbeat, it felt as if time stood still. Jake could hardly breathe. Would their bond grow stronger than fear? Max, emboldened, took a cautious step toward the bear, mirroring her gait. Jake watched his little pup, astonished by his daring spirit. This was a pivotal moment. Still, uncertainty loomed over them like a thick fog. Leah leaned forward, clutching Jake's arm, her breath shallow. "What if this doesn't end well?" "I don't know," Jake replied, his heart racing. "But we have to trust." Suddenly, the cub moved closer, curiosity crackling between the two young ones. Max's playful nature began to shine through, encouraging the smaller bear to approach him. They sniffed at each other, limbs quivering in excitement, and Jake felt his heart swell. No longer did they seem like strangers. They were two young souls exploring a new friendship. The larger bear maintained her watchful gaze, happiness unmistakable in her demeanor. This was not a clash of instincts but an unexpected alliance. Perhaps, Jake thought, nature was teaching them all a lesson right here in the heart of the woods. But just as hope began to blossom, the underbrush stirred once more, a sharp rustling echoing through the trees. Jake's stomach sank. Had something else been lurking nearby, waiting to disrupt this fragile peace? "Do you see that?" Leah whispered, eyes darting towards the noise. Before Jake could respond, an ominous growl reverberated through the air, shattering the momentary calm. The newcomer, still watching them from the shadows, positioned itself in a more aggressive stance, eyes narrowed like an arrow aimed straight at Max. Jake knew in that instant that he had to protect them all. "We need to move," he said, urgency engulfing his voice. "Get behind me." Max, sensing the change in energy, backed away but looked to Jake for reassurance. He was terrified yet trusting a split-second decision resting on Jake's shoulders now. "Stay close," Jake commanded, stepping forward, palms out. He turned his focus solely on the larger bear, hoping his presence would be enough to keep it calm. "You've got to trust me not to hurt your family." As the tension thickened between the beasts, Leah's eyes were wide with fear and concern. What if they charge? Jake clenched his jaw, taking one cautious step forward. "I just want to show them we mean no harm." But even as he spoke, the aggressive stance of the newcomer bore down on him like a weight. The moment felt suspended in time. Jake caught between each breath, desperately willing the bears to understand this urge for peace. Would they sense his sincerity, or would chaos erupt from this seemingly harmonious encounter? All eyes were now fixed on Jake, Max, Leah, the two bears. Hope battled dread. A single thought blared in his mind. What happens next could change everything. What would he do when instincts clashed and instincts led to a fight for survival? With their hearts pounding in unison, Jake took a deep breath, his mind racing yet focused. Everything felt like it hung on a delicate thread. The larger bear growled again, a low rumbling sound that sent shivers through the air. Jake knew he had to act quickly to break the tension. "Wait, we're friends," Jake shouted, earnestness ringing through his voice. Every ounce of bravery surged through him as he raised his hands to show surrender, as if sensing Jake's fears. The mama bear saw him as another life, like she had saved the dog. He now stood ready to protect them all. She nudged her cub slightly back, a subtle shift that spoke volumes, urging calm, urging understanding. The little bear glanced at Max, curiosity sparking in its eyes. "Please," Jake said, his voice a whisper now. "We just want you all to be safe." The aggressive bear's stance shifted, brow furrowing with confusion, sensing something different about this child and the little dog standing close beside him. In that crucial moment, Max's innate kindness twinkled in his playful eyes. Jake's heart swelled with hope. Maybe love can bridge the gap even in the wild. Max took a cautious step forward, tail wagging tentatively. The little bear mirrored him, its tiny nuzzles igniting a playful spark. A soft whimper echoed from the newcomer bear, and that deep growl faded as it began to watch. Jake's pulse raced moment by moment. They were shifting toward something beautiful. Leah held her breath, eyes wide as she watched. "It's working," she breathed, marveling at the unfolding bond. Jake stepped forward again, willing himself to be brave. "Look at how they're connecting," he urged, feeling the tide of fear pull back ever so slightly. With every inch between them, he felt a surge of energy pushing him forward. "Maybe they understand why we're here." Slowly, the aggressive bear unfurled itself, uncertainty flickering in its eyes. The atmosphere shifted yet again, as gathering strength seemed to diffuse tension from both sides. Jake's heart raced, but it was now flanked by a sense of tranquility. Without thinking, he spoke, "We're not the danger. The real danger is misunderstanding." Another surge of confidence bubbled up within him. "Let me prove it, let us work together." He called to the bears and beyond, to the forgotten imaginations of Maplewood that echoed through the trees. The mama bear looked at him, gauging his sincerity as her tail swayed gently. The storm of misunderstanding began to dwindle. And then all at once something magical happened. The new bear began to relax, the curiosity blooming in its eyes. The gentle bear stepped to the side, and just like that, the connection formed a bridge, a moment of peace stitched together by innocence and compassion. With a breath of relief, Jake could see the real force of nature all around them, unwrapping the kind that pulls you in when you throw away fear. "We can work together, just like the forest," he said again, feeling the closeness of their community spirit bridging this incredible moment. A powerful silence washed over the clearing, as if nature itself held its breath in eager anticipation. And then, like a balm for the spirit, the little bear crept closer to Max, and within moments they were playfully lapping at one another's energy, breathing life where there'd once been uncertainty. Jake's heart soared. This connection could change everything. The wildlife photographer, lost in the wonder, whispered, "I never imagined." Jake nodded. "Let's reflect this beauty back to the town." Together they stood, brimming with hope. As the larger bear leaned down to nuzzle her cub, everything shifted. The trembling edges of fear began to blur into harmony. They were no longer adversaries. "See," Jake called, drawing strength from the moment. "Connections like this make us stronger. Let the town see what love can do." The linkage came alive around them, seeping thick and golden like the warm light filtering through the trees. With Leah by his side, they stepped away, allowing nature's spectacle to unfold, their spirits rising like sunbeams, branching out over the riverbank. And that's when the call of 100 hearts echoed through the air, a beckoning that rippled across Maplewood, inviting the townsfolk to reconsider. "Let us take this story back," Jake urged Leah. "Show them this love. We won't let fear win." All throughout the forest, peace bloomed like flowers breaking through winter's chill. Jake felt urgency bubble inside him, the need for these moments to reach beyond them, to spark transformation wherever they could. Later, as they moved toward the town, Max by his side, eager to show all that had blossomed, Jake smiled, heart bursting with new possibilities. He suddenly felt the warmth of belonging wrap around him. They weren't just saving the bear, they were redefining community through understanding and love. This morning was only the beginning. Together they de-bridged the gap between fear and compassion. A call for change awaited them on the other side. A bond worth repeating amidst the whispers of a world ripe with fear and misunderstanding. And as the trio ventured out of the woods, they knew boldly stepping into a new dawn awaited them all. Now, more than ever, you need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next incredible stories unfolding. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep these beautiful moments alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. How did it touch you? What moments resonated? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting us through these heartfelt actions.